Hello, folks. The old deplorable basket case here. So, my favorite quote about welfare comes from Ronald Reagan, which goes, welfare's purpose should be to eliminate, as much as possible, the need for its own existence. And that's my favorite quote because, well, at least in part, because it is absolutely true. There is no arguing with it. But, there are some people I know of, I shouldn't name names, who, pushing really hard for a welfare state in the U.S. And these certain people like to push FDR's name a lot. A welfare state was FDR's dream, and we must make FDR's dream a reality. No. Just no. Okay? What was President Roosevelt's actual opinion about welfare? Well, the lessons of history, confirmed by the evidence immediately before me, show conclusively that continued dependence upon relief induces a spiritual and moral disintegration fundamentally destructive to the national fiber. To dole out relief in this way is to administer a narcotic, a subtle destroyer of the human spirit. It is inimical to the dictates of sound policy. It is in violation of the traditions of America. Work must be found for able-bodied but destitute workers. Now, did President Roosevelt hand out money in relief, in the form of relief, to people who needed it? Yes, he did. It was one fairly small part of a whole range of programs that he put forward to attempt to end the Great Depression. How successful was he overall? Economists disagree. I wasn't there, I don't know, but I digress. Okay, so he did so when President Roosevelt did hand out money in the form of relief, he worked through local authorities, private charities, churches. He did not create a massive government bureaucracy to soak up the tax dollars and just overwhelm the country. He did not do that. He did not want that. He was not in favor of it. He argued against it. Okay? This thing that liberals are pushing for today, not FDR's dream. His nightmare. So, that's what I got to say. Or rather, that's the first part of what I got to say. The second part of what I have to say is that President Roosevelt was right about this, at least. Absolutely correct. Okay? In America, today, or in the United States, to be more exact, in the United States of America, today, there is a gulf, a cultural divide between people who are on welfare, people who are receiving government assistance, and people who are not. It's a little hard to quantify, I know, because people do not live in separate communities, but for the most part, at least. But there are notable differences. As one example, the food item that is most often bought by people who are not on welfare is milk. Which makes total sense. It's very nutritious. It's very healthy. It is very easy to store and transport, and you can cook it into all sorts of things. It's a very useful food item. The food item most commonly bought by people who are on welfare is soda. Pop, sugary soft drinks. Which is at best a luxury, and at worst, poison. So, one more thing, which is something I feel very strongly about welfare. The welfare system, the whole government assistance programs in the U.S., welfare, green card, food stamps, whatever, is fucked up. It is completely fucked up. There are families who have immigrants actually mostly, who have been on welfare. The families have been on welfare for 3 generations. Who thinks that's a good idea? Not, I assure you, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. There are strip clubs who take food stamps. There are drug dealers who take food stamps. In Maine, they did an experiment. They wanted to find out how many people were really serious about keeping their welfare. And so the government of Maine passed an act requiring people who are on welfare, receiving government assistance, from the state of Maine, I mean, to do community service, to go to a park and pick up trash. There was a there was what's the word? An exception made for people who were disabled. They're not fascists in Maine. The number of people in Maine who were on welfare before that was about 12,000 people. After they passed that act, the number of people on welfare dropped to approximately 2,500. That's a hell of a lot of people in Maine who were not so serious about keeping their welfare that they would go down to a park and pick up trash. So, there are people who genuinely need help, who are being edged out by people who don't seriously need help. There are people who are being denied assistance that they need because there are people who are gaming the system for their own benefit. So when people like me say our welfare system is fucked up, when people like me say we need to more seriously check out people who are receiving government assistance, we need to be more, we need to be more, we need to take more care when we are looking at people who are seeking welfare. We need to be more serious about checking people out. We need to be more sure that people actually need government assistance before we give it to them. Saying that is not the result of being a racist, bigot, uncharitable fascist. The kind of person who would deny that there is anything wrong with welfare, that there's anything wrong with the welfare system as it is in the U.S., the kind of person who would label someone saying that there is something wrong with the welfare system a racist, bigot, uncharitable fascist. Is someone who is seriously fucked in the head. Is someone who is so mentally shackled to their own political beliefs, their own opinions of how the world should be, of what the world is, that they're out there, as in out beyond the bend. And that's all I got to say. Thank you for watching. Please comment below with anything you have to say. I'd sure like to know what you think. And have a good night, and God bless.